Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. There is the way you contact the show and all the ways you can follow us on social media. Now, before I bring in my guest, let me just say, our guest now will be Debbie Dooley, Atlanta Tea Party president. And before I bring her into the conversation, I've known Debbie for several years. We have been on the same side of an issue. We have been on two different sides of an issue. We've agreed to disagree, but we've always, Debbie, come up with, we're working towards in the same direction. Let me say that. And today we're definitely on the same page. My guest now, Debbie Dooley. Debbie, how are you?
Doing great this morning. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. We can't wait for Thanksgiving. I'm really caught off guard with Governor Brian Kemp in his in this Senate pick. But I've been talking about it for days. You have written several articles with Breitbart. You and I have talked about the president making a little sneaky trip up, or the governor to see the president to try to introduce Kelly Loeffler as his pick. Let me just turn it over to you. What's going on, Debbie?
What is going on is President Trump is in the political fight of his life. He needs a fighter like Doug Collins in the Senate, because the Senate will be the one that votes to remove him from office after the articles of impeachment come from the House. And so he wants somebody he can depend on, and that's why President Trump and a lot of his close folks are pulling out all the stops to, encourage Brian Kemp to choose Doug Collins. Sean Hannity on his TV show last night gave Doug Collins a sounding endorsement. Brian Kemp, I am not sure what happened to him, but Kelly Loeffler is her husband owns the New York Stock Exchange, which to me is a big conflict of interest for a senator to have a husband that owns the stock exchange. She also has a WNBA basketball team named the Atlanta Dream. She is co-owner of this basketball team. And this basketball team partnered with Planned Parenthood and a few other groups, and they had different, ticket sales where you could designate a portion of your ticket that you purchased from the Atlanta Dream to go towards Planned Parenthood. The Breitbart article, if you go to the Breitbart articles, when the initial big one, and click on the links, they show you everything. They have screenshots of actually the Atlanta Dream saying, listing Planned Parenthood is one of the groups that that you can choose to receive I think it was $5 of your ticket price. Planned Parenthood is not a pro-life group. She actually was pretty close to Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams she has a company called I think it's Sage Works or Sage, SAGE something. And after Loeffler actually purchased the Atlanta Dream, Stacey Abrams did legal work for the team through her company Sage Works. In 2014, Loeffler's Atlanta Dream team, the Atlanta Dream basketball team, actually recognized Abrams as one of the inspiring women of 2014. Again, every bit of this is documented. And a few years ago, many people remember Josh McCoon was pushing his religious liberty bill. And all these Chamber of Commerce type companies and groups came out against the religious liberty bill and condemned it. Kelly Loeffler's team, the Atlanta Dream, was one of the teams that actually signed on to the letter condemning the religious liberty bill. Folks, Loeffler folks are trying to say, oh, she's a conservative, and, this. She gave $750,000 to Mitt Romney when he ran for president in 2012. She did not give one dime to Donald Trump in 2016. She did not give him any money until after he was elected, which, you know, he would benefit their business. So she shunned him in 2016. What is going on is the folks like Brian Kemp are turning their back on the rural areas that actually got them, helped get him elected.
That's what I want to, excuse me, just a minute. I'm sorry, but that's where I want you to go now. Tell me, I want you to get that out. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but tell me what you think Kemp is thinking by wanting to appoint Kelly Loeffler. What do you think Brian Kemp, the governor, is thinking in this? Because I think you were going in that direction, and that's what I want to know. Why do you think he's considering this Kelly Loeffler for the Senate seat?
Because I think he's trying to appeal to suburban women in the metro area, and he is willing to turn his back on the rural areas that actually put him over the top. Had it not been for the turnout in these rural areas, Stacey Abrams would be governor today. And he is turning his back. He assumes, and I believe incorrectly assumes, that they will support him no matter what. So he's, it's like you take a girl to the dance, and when she gets to the dance, she goes off and starts dancing with somebody else. Well, that's exactly what Brian Kemp is doing in regard to the rural voters.
Well,
and I think he's going to be in for a rude awakening, because I know his office has been slammed with phone calls, and I can tell you I am hearing there's going to be more endorsements coming out today for Doug Collins.
Well, Debbie, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give, I'm going to tell the viewers why I picked you to come on the show to discuss this with us, because when the resume process ended, and when Brian Kemp first came out, the governor, and Johnny Isakson announced his retirement, and he came out saying, hey, I'm going to take applications. Actually, that was being looked at as, you know what? He's not going to kowtow to establishment. He's going to give anybody and everybody in Georgia an opportunity to apply for this. So my question is, what was the process? If there was 500 applications, what happened to the other 499? Did they go in the trash? How did this woman know to slide her application under the window right before it closed? Did she have pre-meetings before she put the application in? Was she guaranteed the job before she did it? Because she's high profile. She's not going to take that kind of chance, Debbie. And when it came through, can we get access and some transparency in Georgia on the meeting she had with Kemp? And did Kemp ask her all these questions? Do you see what I'm saying?
You are right on target. I don't believe anybody out there that thinks about it from a logical perspective would believe somebody as rich and high profile as Kelly Loeffler is would risk her reputation by applying for something that she doesn't know she's going to get. She's not going to do that. I think it's been in the works for 2 weeks, over 2 weeks. I think it has been in the works. She's had meetings, and before, rumor was that in 2013, had she decided she was going to run for Saxby-Chambliss' seat in 2014, that she would probably, Governor Kemp's campaign consultant was going to be her campaign consultant at that time. In fact, he was quoted in an AJC article about it, and at that point she hadn't made her mind up, so she hadn't attained a consultant. But he was quoted as saying, she'd be a game changer, she would be great, and things like that. I think it has been in the works for a while.
Who's pulling the strings? Who is in? And this is some of the questions I have, because if memory serves me right, and I'm not going off the computer screen, I didn't put any data together. Kemp won by about 50,000 votes. Am I around the right area?
Yes.
Around 50,000, okay? I sit in a district, the 9th district, which happens to be where Congressman Collins is, that we have the 50,000. We have the 50,000 he needs. We got the 14th district over here. I can name rural districts all over the state that have the votes to get him over the line. Who is he listening to inside? Who's surrounding him that says, hey, this is a good idea, and don't worry, I don't know if they're saying this, but don't worry about the 9th district. They'll be there anyway. Who's in his ear?
Well, I think a lot of the things he's relying very heavily on his political consultants and a very close group that he's relying on that is giving him good advice. Number one, I feel quite certain that if Loeffler is chosen by Kemp, that Kemp's campaign consultants will run her campaign, and they stand to make millions of dollars from that campaign because she's got a lot of money to throw into it. I also believe that, after what happened in Kentucky and Louisiana, I think a lot of the Romney Republican, the country club Republicans like Loeffler that actually have dinosaur fossils embedded in her kitchen, decorations and things like that. I think they're saying, well, we need to appeal to groups in the suburban area. Well, I will remind people that Karen Handel lost in the 6th district. And she's a woman, but she was defeated by, a Democrat woman, Lucy McFadden. So being a female Republican did not help Karen Handel in the metro area in the 6th district. They're looking at Kentucky and saying, "Oh wow, we lost the governor's race, so we've got."
Yeah, but we know why we lost the governor's race in Kentucky, and we know why we lost the governor's race in Louisiana, and we know it has nothing to do with the president. And anybody that's reading those tea leaves and transferring it to Georgia is totally wrong, my opinion. Let me say this, Debbie, because I want your take on this right here. Alabama is about as red state as you can get, and I think myself, speaking for myself, I just did not see a Democrat becoming a senator in Alabama. And this, although I've had some people say that I'm going overboard, but this could actually cause the steps. This could actually put in place mechanisms that Georgia could end up with a Democrat senator in 2020. What say you?
I say you're absolutely correct, because I'm hearing from people all over that are saying they're not going to support Kelly Loeffler. And in fact, a lot of people are saying that they will not support Brian Kemp again in 2022 if he chooses her. People are livid, and I'm not talking about just, the kind of Tea Party leaning conservatives. I'm talking about I'm hearing from other Republicans that are livid that he's actually considering Kelly Loeffler, and that's wrong. He's not only putting the Senate seat at risk in the general primary in 2020, he's putting his own governorship seat at risk in 2022. People will sit out, and in Kentucky, voters got mad because the governor took off a Tea Party candidate that had been, when he was elected, he had this Tea Party woman running on the ticket as lieutenant governor. He kicked her off this year, and it caused a lot of controversy. And what happened was that a lot of people that would have voted for Bevin had that not happened either set the election out or they voted Libertarian. If you look at the high number of Libertarian votes, had even a portion of them voted for Matt Bevin, he would have won. And I think here in Georgia, that's definitely at risk for happening.
All right.
You're right. You're as normal. You're right on target, and you've been on the front lines. I mean, we think alike, on this issue, because you've been on the front lines raising awareness to this, and I think it's great you've been doing that. And you're right.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you know about? And I'm caught off guard because I don't know the president of the United States, but I follow him so close. I've supported the president all the way from the primary, and I'm kind of shocked that Governor Brian Kemp thought he could take this candidate, get on a plane, and go up and try to change the president's mind when Doug Collins has been a staunch defender. I mean, he has come out, he has battled Jerry Nadler to Nadler has a headache 7 days a week. What are you hearing about that meeting this past weekend? I think it was Sunday, I'm hearing, between the president and the governor.
Well, number one, the fact that it was actually leaked to the press shows just how hard the White House is fighting for Doug Collins. Governor Kemp wants a senator that will work to implement the Kemp doctrine, so to speak, which is like, he's moved toward the center. And I think Republican primary voters in Georgia want a senator that's going to support Donald Trump and enact the Trump doctrine in his agenda, because a senator is a federal office. Doug Collins is great. Sean Hannity endorsed him. My understanding is there's going to be some more endorsements coming out today. I think that if Kemp makes the mistake of appointing Loeffler, I think Doug Collins will run against her, and I think he will deliver a humiliating defeat to Governor Kemp over this. And, Kemp is burning used up his political capital with the base, and I think it's, Georgia's at real risk in 2020 of electing a Democrat because so many people are going to be angry. Hell hath no fury like an angry base, and I think Kemp will feel the wrath.
Well, let me say this, and one of the things, I am not. I know Congressman Collins. I live in his district, and he's on my show quite often. I'm not endorsing him, and what I want to say here is I'm really not coming out and endorsing Doug Collins. The President of the United States has endorsed Doug Collins. I am coming out and telling you the truth that Collins, the viewers out there, Collins, the congressman, has been one of the strongest, I'm going to say out of the top five. You got Nunes and you got Jim Jordan. I don't want to leave anybody out, but out of the top five in Washington, this guy has done everything, and he's crisscrossed the country to do everything he can to try to get Republicans elected. That being said, I'm not endorsing him, but Debbie, in the process, I know you are, I'm a little interested in the other 498 candidates. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not endorsing, but, Jan Jones' name is on the list, and Martha Zoller's on the list, and other businessmen and women are on the list. So I'm saying the whole thing, I mean, everybody that seriously took their time, and I know Collins is being endorsed by the president, and he's in my district of being redundant, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm also thinking about, what about all these other people that really thought that the governor was going to have an open, honest process for this appointment?
Well, and I mean, they should be upset about the whole thing. And, I've been raising awareness, for this for over a week. And in the beginning, I had people that were hardcore Kemp people saying, oh, no, the governor wouldn't even consider this. You're wrong. Well, they're saying I'm right. I think a lot of those people are beginning to see, hey, I've talked to a lot of the applicants. They were never even contacted by the governor's office.
Exactly.
So what's it show? People have to understand, hey, what's this show that was going on? And Doug Collins would make a great senator. And as I said, if Kemp makes a mistake of not appointing him, then Doug will challenge Loeffler, and, Doug will win. He will win hands down because Trump's base wants that. Trump's base, by the way, helped put Brian Kemp in the governor's mansion. They want Doug Collins. And this is a battle. This has turned into a battle, between Brian Kemp and his supporters and Donald Trump and his supporters.
Why don't Kelly Loeffler come out and do a press conference and let us ask all these questions? Why don't the governor release the transcripts? We've heard that recently, right? Why don't he release the transcripts of the meetings with Loeffler that he had where he asked her where she stood on issues and he feels comfortable? When will he come out to the podium and say, I asked her Second Amendment, I asked her red flag laws, I asked her about pro-life, and I'm comfortable. Why can't we know anything? Am I alone? Because I'm searching the internet and I can't find articles on any information that tells us anything where the governor stands, she stands, and where they've, I don't know, any transparency. Have you found any transparency in this?
No, but a lot of the Second Amendment, what I'm hearing is that some of the Second Amendment groups, they began to put out information. And, like the, people that there's one that puts out email, Second Amendment something, and they're very uneasy with her. And, the whole thing is, I want you to think about this. Look at how the left has attacked the businesses of business people that support Donald Trump and take conservative stances. If Loeffler did take a conservative stance and vote conservative and defended Donald Trump, which there's no way she's going to do that, then the left would go after her business and her team, her WNBA team, and she would fold. She would melt like a popsicle in July heat because she would go back to the left, to the center, and left because, the impact against her businesses. They don't want us to know where she stands. And that is exactly what's going on. They don't want us to know. They're trying to keep it secret. They're trying to say, they were hoping, okay, we're just going to be quiet and things like that. And nobody, they assumed she was a blank slate because you can't find out much about her, but people started looking at her businesses and her team. And they found, we found out all this information. And, I think they thought they could just slide this, Romney Republican in, and there wouldn't be anything we can do. We, the people, have a powerful voice. Use it.
Well, I know early on, and there's a couple more things, if you got them, I want to clear up. I know early on in the process, Congressman Collins submitted his application like anybody and everybody else with, no strings attached. If you applied on Monday, he applied on Tuesday, and you guys applied the same exact way through the website, and I understand that. And the thing about it is, ever since Collins applied, because I'm in the 9th and I also keep track of what's going on in the state, I've watched this on a daily basis. So when I hear the windows closing and I get this lady's name, I start reading up and I start hearing some things, and some sources start calling me, and I'm thinking, we've got to blast this all we can. And my problem is they went and asked Collins, and I want to clear up for anybody that thinks Collins kindly, put pressure on the governor. They went and asked Collins, if you don't get nominated or you don't get picked to be the senator, will you run anyway? And he said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I may run. Well, that was looked at like he just put Brian Kemp, in a box. But that's not true. See, Collins never did anything up to the point to when the whole state, as far as I'm concerned, got stabbed in the back with this Kelly Loeffler. That's when Collins started making some comments. So I don't think it's fair to look at him like, he's putting pressure on the governor saying, you don't appoint me, I'm going to run. I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
I do, and I can tell you there's a very valid explanation for this. And Collins, as soon as he saw Loeffler go in at the last minute with her application, he saw the handwriting on the wall like you and I saw, and he realized the fix is in. So he's letting people know, hey, there's a good chance I'm going to run if he chooses her. So people would understand that, hey, that Georgians will have a choice of Republicans in November 2020. And I think that's the only reason he did that. He held his powder. until he saw the handwriting on the wall and realized the fix was in for Loeffler. The people, that is not Isakson's seat. It's not Brian Kemp's seat. The Senate seat is a people seat, and I think we need, if Kemp selects Loeffler, we need a choice, and I think Doug Collins is simply giving Georgians what they want, which is a choice.
Well, Debbie, really quick, I want to say for all the viewers, Debbie has written several articles you can find on Breitbart. They've published them since, I won't say my show. I say sometimes I'm just out here crying in the wilderness. And if one day we can get picked up and more people hear us, but you have paid attention. You've watched several of our segments. We appreciate you. You wrote several articles in Breitbart. Now there's articles in the Daily Beast. There's articles in the AJC. It's national now. It's on national TV. And the Wall Street Journal is the one that broke this. And the Wall Street Journal, Georgia Governor Trump appear to be at odds at Senate pick. Just a quick opening, folks. President Trump quietly met Sunday in the White House with Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and the governor's preferred pick to fill the Senate seat, Atlanta businesswoman Kelly Loeffler. But the private huddle turned tense and ended quickly, according to people familiar with the meeting. Mr. Trump has preferred Republican Doug Collins, a Republican who has vocally defended the president during the impeachment process, and he told Mr. Kemp that he preferred Collins. I understand right here, it sounds like he didn't get to stay long, and it sounds like it didn't take long before the president of the United States, Donald Trump, said, excuse me, did you not get the message? What, Debbie?
I think you're absolutely correct, and this is what's unique about it. It's the fact that when the Wall Street Journal was actually working on the story, before they published it, they called the governor's office to get a comment on the meeting, and the governor's office would not give them a comment on the meeting. And then once the Wall Street Journal posted it, they gave them some comment like Governor Kemp is promoted, just like political speak, and supporting someone that's going to be a strong supporter of Donald Trump. And, Donald Trump's fighting for his political life. He needs Doug Collins in the Senate. Collins is in the House. He's on Judiciary now. By the time the next senator would take office, the articles of impeachment will have gone to the Senate. And that's where the big fight's going to be, to remove Donald Trump. And Trump needs Doug Collins in the Senate. He is a vote he can count on. Doug Collins is the man that he knows he can turn to help fight this impeachment witch hunt.
And Collins may
fighting so hard.
Collins may immediately, and I don't know anything, folks, other than what I'm saying here on my own. Collins may immediately get pushed to the Senate Judiciary, where that hearing would take place, and he may be right there because they know Collins knows how to do the questioning. Okay, he's not shy on the questioning, and I think a lot of Republicans have done a great job. But just like that was a brilliant move to move Jim Jordan over to intelligence, to take on Adam Schiff. Same thing here in the Senate. He may become a senator, and next thing you know, Lindsey Graham has him on the judiciary for the trial. So that being said, one last thing, and I want to say this to end it so our viewers understand, because I don't want to leave them hanging out there, Debbie, with why I think it's possible a Democrat could be senator. Folks, in the election, which the person that's appointed immediately has to run, the election is called a jungle primary, okay? And if somebody gets 50% plus one vote in Georgia, they would be the next senator. But it's a nonpartisan race, and you could have 8 or 9 candidates, 4 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and the vote could get so split that you could end up with 2 top Democrats as the vote getter or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie.
No, that is correct. It could be, I'm originally from Louisiana, and that's the way Louisiana's always voted. It's kind of like equivalent of jungle primary. Their primary elections, you go and you just vote for the person, you can go across. It's called an open primary system. And that absolutely could happen. And, the vote could be split. And the question is, it will go to a runoff. So you're talking about people trying to come back out to vote when, during the Christmas holiday season. And a lot of Republicans that are going to be upset if Kemp picks Loeffler, they're not going to bother to come back out and vote because, especially folks in the rural area. She's catering, Kemp catering to the metro Atlanta area and just saying, screw you, essentially. I don't mean to be, so vulgar, but, that's exactly what's going on. I mean, he's turning his back on the rural area.
One more time before we close, what do you think and what do you hear and anticipate happening going into Thanksgiving? We were thinking here that the announcement was going to come today before the holidays. What do you think? Where do you think we're at right now, and what are you hearing is going to happen or may?
Well, I think he's still trying. Kemp folks are still trying to push Loeffler, so folks need to call his office, 404-656-1776, and tell them that to side with Donald Trump and support Donald Trump. And I think they had every plan on announcing her, and I think all of this stuff has been thrown in, and Kemp is under attack. It's not just under attack from us. I mean, you've got a lot of national media figures. You have the White House that's, just saying, hey, this is our guy. You always keep fighting, and you always keep fighting. I think he'll, after Sunday's meeting, I think it'll be after Thanksgiving when he announces, but it could be Friday. After Thanksgiving could be Friday, or it could be next week. But I do know for a fact that his office was just, I think one of the people that answered the phone in his office told somebody I know that called in and said there has been an avalanche of phone calls supporting Doug Collins. So those phone calls need to continue.
Debbie, thank you very much for being on. Debbie Dooley, Atlanta Tea Party president. A lot of articles in Breitbart you could find, and also if you follow her on social media, she's always posting a lot of information. Debbie, again, thank you very much, and you have a happy Thanksgiving with your family.
You have a happy Thanksgiving, too, and it's always a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
Have a nice day. All right, folks, before we go to break, I just want to read a comment from one of our viewers. Appointing her would be a mistake from which he nor the state might not recover. He really thinks that she has more star power and conservative credentials to actually hold the seat next year against Democrat campaigners? There's no way. Folks, viewer from the 9th District, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. We might make another comment or two on this. Brian Kemp has fumbled the ball, sad to say. We love the guy, but we don't know what the hell you're doing right now, Governor. Take us a break.